Most people today feel powerless. And I would put it to you that the reason most people feel powerless is not because of the world. It's because most people have stopped dreaming. They've completely given up on the aspirations that they have because they believe that they're impossible to achieve because they have to just survive. Here's why I think that mindset is so detrimental and why that is the real reason that most of us feel powerless. If you ask most people today why they feel like they don't have control over their own lives, why they feel like they can't get ahead, they'll give you the response that most people give: the economy, the job market, prices, rent, things that everybody has to deal with. And it's true, all of those things have gone up. But here's the problem. When most of us have to deal with all those things, what most people do to deal with it mentally is when Friday hits, they pay off all the things they got to pay, all the bills. And then with either credit, money they don't have, or the little resources they have left, they go buy things that numb them to the reality that they're experiencing. Alcohol, weed, might buy clothes, shoes, might spend some money on TV shows, the subscriptions, different shit that makes you feel better and helps you forget about the fact that you are in a situation that you despise. And I think that right there is the issue. We have sold our dreams for instant gratification so that we can mentally get to the next day, instead of dealing with the reality that we don't like our situations, so that we can stare it in the face and deal with it and then turn around and build the life that we want. See, you are not nearly as powerless as you think. And if you don't believe me, because I'm sure a lot of people hearing that think they've already checked out, this guy doesn't get it, right? If you really think you're powerless, ask yourself, if you're so powerless, how is it that you have the power to prop up all these companies that sell you things that you don't actually need? You think companies like Nike can survive without people like you? Do you think companies like Netflix can survive without people paying the subscription? Hell no. You are not powerless. You are just giving your power away because it's hard to deal with the reality that you find yourself in. So what would my advice be? Well, you already see I'm on this channel working my ass off to create the reality that I want. That's not to say that I don't like my reality today, but I wanted to build a even better one for my family and our future. Now, again, I understand a lot of people don't want to work 80 hours a week. A lot of people don't want to grind. People will tell you when they hear about somebody working as much as I work, they'll say, that's not any type of life to live. But see, that is the world talking. That's not you. That is the world that has convinced you that a life without leisure is a life that's not worth living. And I would ask you, who convinced you of that? Who convinced you that unless you're getting relaxation time once a week or once every few days or once a month, who convinced you that that is necessary to live a worthwhile life? Now, I know some people will say, well, I got to for my mental health. I got to for this. You know, the more leisure that we have implemented into our everyday society, the more mental health crises we've had. Do you realize that we spend more time and more money on extracurricular shit, and we have more people today than ever before who find themselves depressed or anxiety ridden? Maybe the leisure is not fixing the problem in the way that you think it is. That's just my opinion. Now, again, I know a lot of people think that's not a life worth living. I would put to you that a life truly not worth living is one that you have to consistently escape from. If every weekend you have to do something to help yourself forget the reality you find yourself in, you're not living life either. You're running. You're running away from the life that you have to endure Monday through Friday. You're running from yourself. And the fucked up part about that is that life's going to be waiting for you when you get back. It always is. Unless you find a way to change your reality. And that requires work. That's the tough part. You see, the reason that you feel powerless is because you gave up on those dreams so that you could make it to the next day. But in order for dreams to become more than dreams, you got to put in a fuck ton of work. Reality is hard. That's the truth. The truth is just life is hard. And what you're going to end up doing is you're just going to pick what hard you're going to endure. See, I don't personally understand how someone can choose to live a life they hate for the rest of their lives in order to get those little tiny bits of instant gratification that help them get to the next day. I personally don't understand that, because then you're signing up for a life that you hate forever, hoping that somebody comes and fixes it for you. And we already know that's not going to happen. Instead, why not take your power back? Why not take the time and the resources you have, however little, and spend it on things that can actually better yourself? Before you tell me you don't have any power, what's your favorite TV show? Who's your favorite sports team? Who'd they trade this year? What's your favorite show on Netflix? See, if you have answers to those questions, then you have time. And if you have time, you have power. Do not mistake power for the ability to just be able to do whatever you want. Power is in your attention. And if you don't believe me, ask yourself why so many companies are fighting for your attention if it's not powerful. It's all about you and your choices. And if you can get it through your head that you actually do control the means by which you live this life, everything starts to change. You see the whole world differently. And I know a lot of people don't believe that. And it reminds me of a story that I heard another YouTuber telling. His name is Michael Gibson. He runs the channel. The channel he has is called Gibson's Lawn Service. Y'all check it out because I just think he's funny. You'll like him if you like me, probably. And he was talking about how they capture baby elephants for the circus, right? And he said, I think someone else told him the story. He said they tie a rope around this baby elephant's neck, right? They attach the other side of the rope to a big log and they shove the log into the ground. So the baby elephant can't get away. It's not strong enough. So it's struggling. And for days, it's struggling, trying to get away. And eventually, it gives up because it realizes, I'm not strong enough. I'm not powerful enough to get away. But that defeat stays with the elephant forever, to the point where even as it grows bigger, it doesn't try to escape. It has given up on the life that it thought it could have because of the failure that it previously experienced. Now, before anyone gets on me and is like, oh, that's not what happens, how is that? It doesn't matter. The story is a perfect metaphor for us. We are the fucking baby elephants. So many of us, because of past injustices, because of bullshit our parents have told us, because of past failures on our own part, we completely give up on our hopes and dreams. Even when in the future, we find ourselves in a better position to actually execute on it. All because of that prior failure. And what do? We live our lives by watching other people live theirs, going only as far as the rope allows us to, accepting the peanuts that other people give us and saying, this is me making the best of my life. If you ask me, that is not living. It's not living. Do not tell me you are not powerful when you have stopped trying. You don't actually know how powerful you are. And again, if you don't believe me, go execute on something for the next 6 months. Take out everything else that is not survival and executing on a goal, on one specific goal. And after 6 months, when you are closer to that goal, because you will be, You come back here and tell me you're not powerful. It's bullshit. You are powerful. You have just been robbed of your attention. You've been robbed of your ability to focus because the world has sold you distractions in exchange for your dreams. Instead of wondering what life could be like if you were debt free, if you didn't have to worry about car payments and medical bills and all the shit that we all worry about because life happens, right? Instead of actually working through how I can get rid of those things, the world sells you a quick fix. We worry about it later. Why don't you just, instead of making your meals, let's eat out tonight. Instead of worrying about saving for that car, just finance it. What's $300 a month? What's $500 a month? Short-term solutions leave long-term bruises. And a lot of y'all are walking around with the remnants of all your bad decisions, talking about how powerless you are because of the world. The world didn't do that to you. You did that to you. We do it to ourselves. And the sooner we can be honest about that, the sooner we can take our power back. So I came on here today just to remind you, you are not powerless. You've just given up on your dreams. Ask yourself what you really want. What kind of life do you really want? Because that life is a lot closer to you than you think. If you're ready to decide and you're ready to shun all the other shit that the world is saying is necessary for a good life. Isn't it interesting that the people who tell you what a good life should lead all hate their lives? Isn't that crazy? Why are we taking advice from people who don't like their own lives? Why are the people who insist that leisure should be a part of everything always the ones who don't have any resources of their own? We shouldn't have to work more than 40 hours a week. Maybe you're right. But what world do you live in where you're surviving working less than that? See, if you want a life where you actually can work less than 40 hours a week and thrive, not just survive, you have to earn that. You have to normally put in years and years, maybe decades of work before you can achieve that. You don't just wake up one day because you're a human being and say, I deserve it. Nobody cares about what you think you deserve. But too often, because of the world that we have grown up in, we allow our opinions and how we feel to determine what we do. You have to make a choice. Are you going to let your life fly away from you because you felt like you were treated unfairly? Or are you going to take that motherfucker by the horns and say, this is what we're doing, get with the program? I would put it to you that the powers that be that a lot of people talk about, the ones keeping all of us down, the thing they're really afraid of is you making the choice to opt out of all of their bullshit. What would the world look like if all of us were not propping up all of these unnecessary companies? It's just a thought. Because when people tell me it's bad out here, like we can't live, we can't do, if that's true, the way people put it out there is as if we are 2 steps away from all being in the soup kitchen. Yet somehow companies that make non-essential products are posting record profits. Somebody's lying. Who is it? Ask yourself where you sent your power today, man. Who did you lend out your power to today? Who'd you give it away to? And for what cost? Was it worth it? Just some things to think about, man. You're not powerless. You stop dreaming. Don't let the world decide what you dream. Dream and then impose that shit onto your reality so that you don't have to blame anybody else for where you end up. That's all I got to say. I'll talk to y'all later.